So we are going to get started. We have a lot of people on the call today, which is really exciting because it's my favorite time of the year and probably a lot of your favorite time of year, and that's MBA Shamrock. So we have a lot of great information for you guys today. I wanted to just remind you that we will be taking questions throughout the chat box today. Everybody is on mute. So if you do have a question, feel free to put that in at any time during the presentation, but also make sure to include your name and your district, just in case we don't get to all the questions at the end of today's presentation. We will make sure to follow up with each of you individually with any questions that you may have. So Catherine, let's go to the first slide. So hello everybody, my name is Erin Feliciano. I am the National Director of the Retail Partnerships team, and I have some really great MBA friends joining us today to present on the call. Alongside me is Sabrina Hughes, our other National Director for the Retail Partnerships team. I also have Adrienne Castano, who is a Divisional Director out of 44. We have Amanda Spieler, Adrienne's 11, and Amanda Spieler is a Divisional Director out of 44. We have Aaron Dresnick, Executive Director in New Jersey, and Aaron Randall, Executive Director in Fort Myers, Florida. And in case you're wondering, one of the criteria to be a presenter on today was that your first name should be Aaron. And we thought that was only fitting since Aaron means Ireland, which is the home of Shamrock. So honestly, we didn't make that happen, but these are all great members of our strategy team, and they're here to kind of give us best tips, ideas, and best practices from around the country. So if this is your second Shamrock season or 10th Shamrock season, you know the importance of servicing, as it really is a huge component to help drive in outcomes. And it makes MDA stand out above all organizations that do this type of program. There are a ton of new tools that are available to help streamline the process that we're going to be talking about today, as well as each of these strategy members who's going to be there to help kind of guide the program so we can take our Shamrocks to the next level. Next slide, please. So what is servicing? For some of you that are new, we're probably going, well, what's Shamrock servicing? Well, I looked it up in the dictionary, what servicing meant, and it says that it's work done for others. And I kind of thought, well, hey, that's kind of fitting because that's really what we do at MDA is we do work for others. And when it comes to Shamrock servicing, it encompasses a whole different scheme of things that we do for our partners, our families, our accounts, you name it. So Shamrock servicing really defines everything that is done during the program to drive outcomes and strengthen partnerships. So today, our goals for today's WebEx are to give you tips on how you can affect those outcomes by focusing on 5 different areas of servicing. So we're going to be talking a little bit about setting the stage for success. So right now, that curtain's ready to go up here in February. So what are some things that we need to do to make sure that we are ready for Shamrock success? We're also going to be focusing a lot on volunteer ambassadors. And if you haven't heard that term before, now is the time to take notes and listen because that is a big, big part of Shamrock servicing is utilizing our families and our volunteers that can play a vital role in the outcome of your Shamrock success. We're also going to be talking a little bit about using data to drive outcomes and some of the resources that we have for you to do that. We're going to be talking about kickoffs with a focus on goals, and then we're going to be touching on communication with a purpose. So we have a lot of great information for you guys today. This is going to be a recorded WebEx, so if someone on your team does miss it, it'll be available on the Consumer Engagement Resource Center for you to pull up, or if you have some great information that you want to take away and can't write fast enough, it'll be available for you there too. So let's move on to the next slide. So why is servicing so important? Why did we dedicate an hour-long WebEx for it today? Well, right here tells you why it's so important. $24.5 million is raised through our pinup program, and that's our 2016 goal. That is a lot of families that depend on that $24.4 million to help with all the services and the research that we can provide. And what's even more outstanding about that number is that's through $1 and $5 asks, and sometimes 10 or 20, but the majority of those are through that $1 and $5 that adds up to a whole lot of ching for MDA. So that's why we're really going to focusing on servicing today. Next slide, please. So setting the stage for Shamrock success. So hopefully, when we talk a little bit about what needs to be done in this short amount of time frame, you guys are going check, check, check. But if you haven't, here are just a couple reminders of the things that we really need to make sure that we're focusing on in the next couple short weeks. Next slide, Catherine. So I think the most important part of Shamrock success comes down to our sponsors and our partners. Without them, we would not be able to have a program, and really, we wouldn't be able to raise any funds. So when we're going to talk a little bit about strategic partnership meetings and what they look like. And I want to just premise this slide by saying that these meetings should have already taken place, but if they haven't, or maybe if they weren't really done the way that we can really get our biggest bang from having a sponsor meeting, then maybe it's time to kind of revisit those while we get ready to kick off the program. So what is a strategic partnership meeting? Well, really it's a meeting before the Shamrock program to make sure that we have a really good plan set for going into the year. So these can really take place after the program. It can be kind of a hybrid of a follow-up, and then also, hey, let's, touch base again, in October so we can talk about the plans going forward for next year's Shamrock campaign. And these are really vital to your program success. So I want you to honestly take a look at each one of your accounts and really ask yourself, are these some of the questions that we asked? Did we have an open conversation? This is really our chance to learn and grow our partnership. And one of the things that we already do well is our Shamrock. And we have a lot of accounts that you probably looked at and gone, gosh, this account could do so much better. Or, they've been in this rut for so many years. What can we do to take them to the next level? Well, we need to have open conversations for one, and we need to talk to our partners and ask them some of those questions. So some of what that would look like is, really focusing on that strategy. So what worked? What did you like? What was great about the program? And maybe what did they like? What were some things maybe they thought, hey, our employees didn't really rally behind that, or, nobody was asking, or the type of things that, maybe can be or maybe a little bit difficult to take in, but we need to be asking those questions. How did they view the overall program? Is it something that they're excited about? Are their employees excited about? Or is it just one of those things that, oh gosh, now we got to do that program again? Are their employees and leaders excited to be part of it? And then what can we do better? What can MDA do better to maybe help with some of the things that maybe we didn't do as well? And how can we help them meet and exceed goals? What we do know is we're working with businesses who want to be successful. They want to be successful in everything that they do, and partnering with a nonprofit is not an exception to that rule. They want to be successful in what they do too, and they want to feel good about it, and they want to take it to the next level, and they want to say, this is awesome, and this is so great what we're doing for MDA. So how can we do that? So are we at our max of where we've done for exceeded goals, and everybody's asking every single time? Maybe, maybe not. But are there other opportunities for add-on programs? So this was part of our big strategy going into 2016 is, are we asking, is there opportunity for matching gifts? Is there opportunity for roundup? Is there opportunity for percentage of sales? All those things that can help drive them to meet and exceed their goals. So from that meeting, the goal is to come away with a shared vision of success for both parties. And then your action after that is to come up with a write back that's showcasing everything that we're going to do for servicing and leadership during that campaign. And that is something that we say, you know, MDA is going to do this, and you guys are going to do this, and here's our plan that you can refer back to, and you have a plan of action going forward. And ultimately is to, you know, make sure that you set a company goal during that time as well. All right, Catherine, can I go into the next slide? So some of the tools that we have for you guys to be able to do this is if you haven't been utilizing that planner analysis form on the Resource Center, now is a really good time to start. And this can be really used during those strategic partnership meetings, or it's also a really great resource for you to have for each one of your accounts, because it'll give you kind of an overall snapshot of that current account and maybe some ideas of things to ask and things that could get better. So on that planner analysis form, it has a couple different sections that I have highlighted here. So it's an account overview, history, account elements, program information, your volunteer ambassador plan, your accounting plan, post-program motivational strategies, and general feedback. So we will make sure that we send this out after the call along with all the resources that are available in the center, but I want to just give you a quick reminder that this is a great tool for you to utilize if you have not done so already. Next one. So we have a month or less away from the start of many Shamrock campaigns. So if you have not started getting organized, here is a reminder of some of the things that need to really happen in the next couple weeks beyond that strategic partnership meeting. Volunteer recruitment strategy, which we're going to talk about here shortly. So that should be on top of your list, as well as scheduling those kickoffs for volunteer and staff. I think internal kickoffs with staff are always a great way to get everybody pumped up and on track of what needs to be done and how we're really going to have a top-notch servicing program. You need to finalize kickoff dates and agendas for those kickoffs. You need to update your enterprise report, which I know a lot of you have on your radar to do this week, and that's going to be a great tool for you to do. So make sure that that is ready to go. Trackers built, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later in today's presentation. So taking the data from the year before to make sure that you have something that you can track success of all of your accounts. Multi-district forms, we already saw a couple come in this morning. That's a great reminder that we need to get those completed and in, so all the different teams that are encompassed into that multi-district account can be ready and set for servicing. Communication plans, the communication plans that go back to your teams and also to your partners. If you haven't already done so, ordering supplies and any reorders that you need to. And then kit packing, so that can be part of your volunteer kickoff as well as getting volunteers in to finish those kits. Great, well now I'm going to toss it over to Erin Dresnick, who is going to focus a little bit more on the volunteer ambassador piece.
Hi everybody. I just wanted to start off by saying that, you know, our volunteer ambassador piece is something that, you know, some offices have done a lot of in the past and some offices have really not done much with at all. But as an organization, we are really rolling out a focus on volunteers that was shared with us on the all-staff call in November. Some offices have already started actually receiving some volunteers through the new MDA.org portal, and more will be coming as people are signing up. What is a volunteer ambassador? If you don't know, now is the time to really listen because they could mean a huge key to your Shamrock success. Volunteer ambassador can be anyone that helps with volunteer engagement. So, you know, one of the best ways to work with volunteer ambassadors is to, you know, provide best-in-class servicing for our accounts and utilize these volunteers to help with that. You know, we shouldn't be doing everything ourselves, and to be honest, our families and our volunteers are really the best to speak for the organization about what those dollars actually go towards. It really connects our partners to our mission. We can utilize MDA families, summer camp volunteers, you know, long-term volunteers. I don't know if you have anyone still left from your Pledge Center days, but we have a few here in New Jersey, and they love to help us out. work together with them to really create a strong sponsor commitment by sharing their stories with those sponsors. If you haven't already, all districts need to start creating a focus on growing volunteer engagement just across the board. It really does help to connect those families and volunteers with our sponsors. And what better way to start than with our Shamrock program, which is something that is really taxing, for a lot of MD staff as far as visits are concerned. The ultimate role of a volunteer ambassador is helping service and connect our sponsors to MCA, adopt a store, location, or accounts during pinup campaigns, attend kickoffs and really tell the MDA story from a first-person perspective, attend store events and visit as many stores in local communities to share with them who we are and tell locations thank you for being, those heroes in our community, become a sponsor ambassador, come into the office and help make phone calls to locations to pump them up. We've talked about those little voices calls from lockups and stuff like that. Well, it makes such a difference for a cashier to hear that little voice on the end of the phone say thank you as opposed to just hearing from us each week. Create thank you cards, posters, and attend thank you celebrations. Ultimately, the role of the ambassador is, to really help with the success of your campaign and to make your life a little bit easier too. So you're thinking to yourself, I don't know what to do. We have, a month basically to go, and we haven't even started reaching out to families. So the best way to do this is to get started. Create your team vision. Sit down with your entire district either after this call or tomorrow, depending on how much time you have left in the day, and set some volunteer goals. Figure out how many locations you guys have, how many accounts you have, and where they are, and how many staff you have, and what you think would be a realistic opportunity for you guys to recruit families or volunteers. Launch the program. Invite those families or friends, whether they come into your office for a little training, you have a little kickoff party for them. We like to send out some kits to our ambassadors with Shamrock pins and some, green beads and things like that, just so that they feel a little extra love and attention and they have something, to bring with them when they go on those visits. Be sure to remember to adhere to all of the HIPAA guidelines, and your family support team can help with that if you're not sure of what those guidelines are. Roles of an ambassador. Have them adopt locations and accounts. Have these families select stores that are within their community to adopt, and, commit to visiting those each, week, once a week, or if it's going to be, a different visit each week to a different location. Whatever they want to do, have them commit to what they're doing so they feel engaged and empowered to do so. Attend kickoffs, thank you celebrations, and special account sales and events, and engage with the stores. What better opportunity to fulfill that need on a Saturday afternoon than to send a family who lives right in the area to go to that grocery store special event. Mission pieces, find ways to include sponsors in on mission pieces in any way possible. Think outside the box. Your family support team is very creative. If any of you guys are on the call, what makes our families tick and what they like to do. Make phone calls to motivate and leave those messages of thanks. Share videos. It's super easy with iPhones and smartphones now. Send videos, send thank yous. A handwritten note always makes such a difference. Engage with the leadership. Pack kits and deliver them. They can come into the office and help out. We can have volunteers from high schools come and earn community service hours by helping out packing kits in your offices. There's no reason that should be done by MDA staff alone. Share stories, pictures on social media from visits. Who is better to post their pictures than the person actually on site and taking their pictures? Our families have huge networks, especially within their disease communities in some cases, so that's a great opportunity to get the word out about what MDA is doing and what our sponsors are doing for us. You can also have volunteers call, for small accounts, if that'll help you. If you have, hundreds of locations to be calling, have them do some of that for you, so that you have a little bit less on your plate and they feel like they're doing more. Some recruitment strategies. There are different ways to, engage these volunteers to tell our story and to find large numbers of volunteers. Some offices have hundreds of volunteers, especially if they have a really large geographic territory. Maybe in several different metropolitan markets that they need volunteers. It can't just be one group of them. Some really great recruitment strategies that have worked are call downs, call blocks, call home nights. We're doing muscle walk outreach right now. You can combine those calls together, talk to the same people, ask them if they want to volunteer as well. Camp recruitment calls, same thing. If you're talking to volunteers, counselors, you're talking to families, engage them in pinup programs as well. Also, there's clinic opportunities, there are support group opportunities, really any place where you are interacting with some sort of family member or volunteer. Even if they call your office looking for a loan closet item, use that as an opportunity to ask them to participate in our pinup program as a volunteer as well. Send out blasts, Camp Focus, campers, volunteers, et cetera. Email is always a good one to use. So the next steps to help you get started. We've all heard some great ideas, but, really just to wrap it up, got to get your volunteer recruitment plan in place. Create a goal and a target list and start calling right away. Split it up amongst the entire office, get AAs involved, get the family support team involved. It's not just a fundraising initiative, it's an entire team initiative as well. Develop what you want your volunteer service plan to look like. Pick your best camper or state goodwill ambassador and have them do a kickoff wish via, small voices, or create a plan to use that with, decision makers of some really high-level platinum stores. You really want to make that special connection for those platinum locations. Hold an ambassador kickoff. That's a great opportunity. The Shamrock Brigade Party, order a couple pizzas, get them donated, have them come in, get their little, tchotchkes, pins, T-shirts, make them feel like they are someone really special to you. Develop store kickoff agendas to include families and volunteers, even if you're doing a conference call, see if they can call in. I know that for Lowe's, we have a lot of conference calls being scheduled. See if they can just say a couple words. It makes such a difference. Pack those kits and packets for them right away and get them in the mail. Follow up, stay in touch, show how appreciative you are. Send out, a newsletter throughout the program to your volunteers to let them know what's happening, how you're doing, where you need help, and what they can do to help you. And, keep doing it. Keep adding to your list throughout the program. It'll only help you. So I'm going to kick it over now to Amanda for our kickoff and goal setting portion.
Thanks, Erin, and I know we have many veterans on the line today who have participated or hosted one of our famous NBA Shamrock kickoffs and goal setting, but certainly I know that we have new team members as well who don't yet know what a Shamrock looks like or what that means. And I can tell you that we've built such a strong brand with Shamrock that, over the time we've really developed what best practices look like. And there are some that, without a doubt, are really key factors in the success of the Shamrock program. And I can tell you it's my personal opinion and opinion of many others that, hands down, having a kickoff and having a strong kickoff is certainly one of those key factors. So, what is an NBA Shamrock kickoff? Well, really, a Shamrock kickoff or a pinup kickoff in general, because this certainly applies to our remainder brands as well, is really a chance to gather your accounts and get them really excited about the program. This is, essentially the start of their fundraising season, so hopefully it's close to their kickoff date where possible. And, it's our job as NBA employees to really get them engaged and excited, motivated, inspired, educated on our mission while they're having fun. And certainly one of the key factors as to what Erin was talking about our volunteer ambassadors is it's always best to introduce them to a local family where possible as well. I'm of the mindset that we can do all that we can to be brand ambassadors and Shamrock champions and cheerleaders at these kickoffs, but nothing really moves the needle like having a family be there and having, our sponsors seeing that local family that they're impacting, or
certainly bringing in a tool like having them call in on a conference call or whatever is available to you to have that local touch. There's nothing quite like that. So our Shamrock Kickoff, again, is an opportunity to kick off the fundraising season, get everybody motivated and excited, and hopefully set some goals while we're there as well. We all know that we're a very goal-oriented organization, and I know that a lot of our sponsors operate in that same way and really relate to us in that measure and are willing to also use the Shamrock Kickoff as an opportunity to set those goals. So there are several types of kickoffs, and where possible, we want to do all or at least the key factors in these types of kickoffs where possible. In person is always best, and there are several different opportunities to do that within most of your sponsors. A corporate kickoff, as you can see, is really where the decision maker invites key leadership to attend. So these are the people that are going to be the drivers of the program or the influential people within each sponsor that are really going to make an impact and motivate the associates, cashiers, whomever's really selling those Shamrocks to do their best, because nobody wants to really look bad in front of their boss. So this is where that key leadership is invited to attend, and also the decision maker. And usually a little bit more professional. It can be more of an informative session and share what they're doing, and hopefully that decision maker then participates in setting corporate goals and really lays down the expectation for what he expects from his leaders and leading the Shamrock program or whatever program they're working with NCA on. Again, inviting your state goodwill ambassador or a powerful local goodwill ambassador is really helpful here, because certainly, you know, the upper echelon of our sponsors also, you know, resonate well with meeting that local person that local person or family that they're impacting. So then we have our district or franchise kickoff. I know that that's pretty common for each of you, and you've probably participated or are going to be participating in one of these. And just to give you some perspective on what that looks like on the Lowe's language, this is a market kickoff. So the market 1277 or market 867, and maybe district 123 of Kroger or whatever your local grocery store chain is. It may be, you know, your Nashville franchise chapter of Bojangles. But whatever this looks like, you know, that's an opportunity to get the people who are going to be driving the people on the front lines and the store managers and the associates to, you know, set goals and have energy and get inspired, and certainly to educate them on MBA's mission too. A lot of times this touches more of the front line of who's going to be selling Shamrocks, and so certainly is important to be a part of and have goal setting as well. Going even deeper into that is a store kickoff, and I know many of us have participated in local individual store kickoffs or conference calls or 7 a.m. Lowe's rally meetings per store. You know, this is obviously the front line. This is where Shamrock champions are going to be. This is where the people who are actually going to be selling the Shamrocks and making the acts are impacted and motivated. And so certainly it's just as important to motivate and cheer on these individuals as it is to impact that decision maker. And we really want to make sure that we're driving home what they can do to impact the sales, and really by making the act that they truly are difference makers and can really you know, make or break the success of the program. And I know many of them enjoy hearing from us. You'll see here conference call, Skype. Aaron said a little bit, you know, we're not possible to get in front of people. We have to settle for conference calls, and we certainly shouldn't ever pass up an opportunity to address a group of these people who are going to be participating in our Shamrock program, no matter what level they are. So if you can have one of these in person and another, you know, by conference call, or you have to settle for a conference call regardless, it's an opportunity to educate, inspire, get everybody energized, and so we should never pass up on an opportunity to do that. And to Aaron's point, having a local family, again, kind of reiterates, you know, who they really want to hear from and who's really impacted, and any time that they can hear and hear a thank you from those people, it goes a long way. I know the mid-program boost that you see here is something that lots of people do, but maybe not something that we all do. And so I would encourage you to think differently about this in 2016, where there's an opportunity to have a conference call or attend a meeting that they're having in the middle of their Shamrock program. This is a great opportunity to really capitalize on the excitement of the first 2 weeks of a campaign, or, you know, whatever their mid-program is. A lot of times we know that a majority of the income is raised in that initial couple of weeks of a program, and so anytime we have an opportunity to get back in front of people or get on a conference call and share a sales update, but also motivate or incentivize them to have just as strong of a finish as they did have a start, you know, that's only going to impact us in a positive way. So a mid-program boost is something that if you haven't worked into your plan yet or haven't approached your sponsors about including in your strategy meeting for 2016, I definitely think this is a good tool that we could all stand to make a regular habit and really see a lot of impact on our program. So we saw the different types of kickoffs. Now, really, who should attend a kickoff? I mean, obviously, having leadership and ownership are the keys to success of the Shamrock accounts, and so having decision makers present the strategy to work with MDA, or certainly, you know, what their expectations are, and really endorse the program, set company-wide goals, that all helps to drive the program's success. Again, nobody kind of want to look bad in front of their boss, so this really is motivation for them whenever their boss or decision maker can, you know, participate and help to endorse and set those goals. The district managers are just as powerful. They are really powerful to our individual programs outcomes when they do a kickoff with their entire, you know, district, and, you know, it helps us to save time and money when we can deliver kits there and also get their endorsement. We really are kind of firing all cylinders, so having a district manager there is really important as well. But we know store managers and store Shamrock champions are really crucial to our overall outcome, and they can help motivate those actual frontline employees to really go after it daily and make the ask and make sure everybody's asking, and certainly having Shamrock champions who are really usually the drivers of the program, and they really rally to get all of the locations to participate and make sure they're doing the right things. You know, it's really important to get in front of those people as well. So when you're asked who do you want to be at these kickoffs or what meetings you can attend, these are the types of people that you should really be thinking about including. Obviously, store employees are the ones that are the boots on the ground. So motivating and inspiring them to be really fully engaged and have their boss be there and be present is really key. And certainly goes without saying, although we've said it a couple of times, everybody loves to see our families at kickoffs, and so this is really the best time for them to get in front of one group at, you know, at one time, an entire group, and to share their story efficiently and make sure that we're using, you know, their stories in the right way to motivate and drive outcomes for our kickoffs. So we have a few guidelines for those folks who haven't yet been a part of a kickoff, and certainly for those who have, it's never a bad time to, you know, readdress the best practices and to see what's missing possibly from the kickoff that you've done in the past and kind of drive some new lifeblood into that. So, you know, we want to share some tools that really help to make the kickoff powerful, and preparing an agenda and, you know, doing your previous year history and last year's totals and store averages certainly are the advanced work that you really want to make sure that you're doing to be prepared for those kind of things. So we certainly at a kickoff want to introduce yourself. You want to bring a family. We want to make sure that everybody in the room knows that you as an MDA employee are there to help support their efforts and to be gracious and show gratitude for their participation in the Shamrock program and how excited you are to be partnering with them and have them a part of the MDA family. That's always a great way to kick things off with the family there by your side. You know, you can get a feel for your audience, really who's familiar with the program. You know, raise your hand if you already participate in Shamrocks, or highlight last year's best total or best store average for the folks in the room. And this is a good, you know, opportunity to get a feel for your audience and ask questions or play a game, really, you know, kind of warm up the room and make sure that everybody there is engaged and participating. Certainly, wherever we go and whatever we do, we should be having a mission-rich conversation. But if not now, then, you know, if not here, then I don't know where else this would be most important. We want to talk about our services and why we've set certain benchmarks. You know, $800 sends one kid to camp. What does that story look like? What does that mission look like? You know, here's where you can have a family, if you have a camper there, tell their story or show a camp video or whatever you can do to kind of tie in our mission with what you're trying to discuss, and make sure that we're educating folks on those things. Make sure you incorporate pictures, incorporate the progress that we've made at MDA, and how really $800 can change a child's life. I know often what we do is we return to the same sponsors and tell them about our mission and what we're trying to accomplish, but we don't always do a great job of talking about the progress that their fundraising dollars have helped us to make. So I think that that's really important. Reminder for 2016 is to talk about all of the exciting things that we have going on with Duchenne treatments and gene editing, and really tie back in that their continued participation or their participation for the first time is really helping to drive those advancements, and that we really need them. For recommit accounts in particular, talking about last year's results, their growth totals, their store averages, where they ranked, what motivated them to be successful. All of those things are really important. You know, we talk a lot in what happened last year at MBA and compare ourselves to that. Most of our sponsors do that same thing. So we really want to give a big picture overview of the program for 2015, and certainly if there have been changes to program dates or expectations or incentives or anything like that, this is a nice opportunity to talk about those changes. And for those who are familiar, to get, you know, adjusted to whatever new things are going to be introduced in 2016. And I certainly know that a lot of you have plans to introduce new things. So we can't leave without goal setting. Certainly we want to make sure when we're talking to decision makers that goal setting is an expectation and something that they are willing and able to do. And we want to talk about the overall goal that District 1 is going to do, and then the overall goal that District 2 is going to do, or whatever that looks like, and then certainly set individual store goals. I've been a part of kickoffs that have been really exciting where we're auctioning off the amount of campers that they're going to send. So our overall goal is 100,000. How many can store XYZ send? How many can store XYZ? With the decision maker there kind of egging them on. No, I think you can really send 4, not 2. You know, certainly those are really exciting, and often we come away with big competition or store challenges to get teams motivated. You know, this is a good opportunity to take that flip chart, list all the stores, list what their 2015 totals were, and then make a space to list the 2016 goals and have them fire them off to you. There's a lot of competition that's created that way, or you can have them come up and write down their goals in front of their bosses. I mean, there's no better way to kind of solidify that, you know, they're in it to win it by having that done. So this is a nice opportunity to engage folks and to create that drive and competition and certainly that energy. Okay, so we definitely want to make it fun and creative. You know, you want to give your feedback on what's worked for them. You want to certainly then share what servicing looks like for you. So what are you going to be doing to make sure that they're well supported? So you want to share with the store managers and the champions that they can expect weekly calls or emails from you to be kept up to date, that they're, you know, will see sales numbers and contests that are running, and if things aren't going well, that you're, you know, that certainly you'll be reaching out to them to course correct and make sure that there's, you know, a mid-program boost could be helpful or whatever that looks like, and you certainly want to make sure you're setting up for them what that could look like, just like we would for a jailbird. We're kind of setting up what the communication plan looks like. This is no different. So, you know, again, you want to share with him because you've now at this point worked out a really good volunteer ambassador plan. You want to share with them that, you know, our hope is to have families in their communities visiting their stores and visiting their sponsors and certainly supporting, you know, their effort to spell Shamrock. But again, you know, we know that things change with our families and the best laid plans don't always come into fruition completely. So I certainly wouldn't promise that every store will have a family included or whatever that looks like, because, you know, we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. Okay, so then we need to follow up on a kickoff, and MBA is famous for our follow-up work, so our kickoff should not be any different. It's going to be really up to you from here after the kickoff to keep building that momentum and to make sure that the day you get back from the kickoff that you're sharing those store goals that the manager set. You're putting them back in writing to the decision makers and the district managers and everybody, you know, up the chain and down the chain, to make sure that there's that accountability. And certainly the kickoff newsletter is really important. This is a good opportunity to share what the expectations are, the program dates, the incentives, but again, those goals, that's going to be what stands out in front of them. Make sure you're sending that to the decision maker, again, with all the specifics, the contests that you're going to do, all the individual goals, and keeping them connected and making sure that those goals stay top of mind for your decision maker too. So again, kickoff follow-up work, I mean, you know, you see here people love to see themselves, and so again, just a friendly plug to remember to take pictures at your kickoff so you can include them in your follow-up messaging. And you can include them in any decision makers that weren't able to attend the kickoff. You can send that recap email and include the picture of their staff and associates being really motivated. And again, you know, that's kind of best practice for Shamrock season in general, to make sure you're including pictures in your correspondence. Everybody likes to see themselves and see their name in lights, but certainly in a kickoff when you have an opportunity to have all of those really passionate, motivated people, and certainly hopefully they're fired up by the time you leave, you're able to kind of put that back to them and show them how exciting things were and leave them with that final thought. So I think that I'm going to be tossing it over to Adrian to talk about communication with our sponsors.
Yes, thank you, Amanda. We are going to talk for the next few minutes about communication, but in particular, proactive communication with a purpose with your sponsors and your Shamrock accounts. What we do know is that communication is a must for these accounts to be a success, but proactive communication is the key word. That is something that you need to take control of, and your team needs to take ownership of, and making sure your sponsors have all the information that they need to be successful. When working with your decision makers, excuse me, you need to employ best practices, and we need to teach the people who are maybe not veterans with this how to communicate with decision makers. We need to know what the purpose is. We have to employ communication with that purpose. We need to discuss with our decision makers what the sales progress is, prior year comps, store progress toward the goals. Basically what we're trying to do is get our sponsors and our decision makers to take ownership over the data in these accounts so that they can help us drive it to success. They can definitely help drive the competition, but we have to arm them with the information that they need. We need to give them the ideas and the templates for communication within their company. What we need to do is arm them and say, hey, we want you to do this, but we're going to make it as easy as possible for you to take care of this with your teams so it's not extra work and it's fun for everyone and it makes you look good in the community. In order to do that with the awareness in the community, we need to communicate the mission, and we need to do that every chance we get. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that in the coming slides, but keeping in your mind, and there's been a theme with everyone who's been speaking on this call, we need to keep the mission in the forefront, and there are ways to do that. If we can go to the next slide. Okay, primarily we want to do store visits. It's the primary mode of communication that best represents us. We are our best sales tools. Face-to-face communication, a smile, a thank you, a little gift when you walk in, that's really what we want to do. But we know that that's not going to happen every time. So, as Erin Dresnick mentioned, we need to employ our ambassadors and our volunteers. They are the best representation of us as well as us being MBA employees. They need to be trained, though. It's never too late to add them in. Somebody can join us the last week of the program, but as long as we talk to them and tell them how to represent us, what to say and what to do, they are going to be a great tool for us to really up the mode of the communication. We want to talk a little bit about weekend and day volunteer blitzes. Make it fun for them. Everyone on this call knows what a blitz is. It's a time block, and it's something where you're part of the team, and maybe you can make it fun. You can talk about how many stores they can hit in their community and ask for feedback on those blitzes and have your team participate as well. When you have people going to these visits, whether it's our MDA team or whether it's our ambassadors, we've got to prepare them for what to do when they get there. Who do they ask for? Is it a front-end manager? Is it a customer service manager? Is it the store manager? Let's arm them with names. Let's talk about who they need to talk to so it's familiar and personal when they walk in that door. Also, we're asking for photos. And I know that this has been usually a bone of contention. A lot of people make great displays with Shamrocks, and yes, we do want photos of those because they worked very hard on them. However, we want people in those photos, and when people are in those photos, we want them recognized in the newsletter. So what you need to do is arm your staff and your volunteers with, whether it's a sheet of paper or whatever it is, we need to know who is in that photo, first names please, only, what store they're in, and if it's a Lowe's or a supermarket, what store that is or what town it's in. We need to identify them. So people, names, and locations are very important, and as Amanda just said, people love to see themselves. When you take a picture, make it a good one, name the people in it, what store, what location, and put it in your newsletter. Excuse me. Also, we need to arm our staff and our ambassadors about what to talk about. We need to have a dialogue when we get in there, and that's all part of the purpose of the communication. Who is your highest seller? You don't want to walk in there and just take a photo of the first cashier you see, because that might be someone who just walked in there on their first shift and now they're highlighted. You want to get the woman who's been working there for 10 years, who has headed up this program and is really the high seller, and you want to just take the picture, have some Shamrocks in there, get her name, and also ask her how she's doing it and why she's doing it. That way you have some decent dialogue and maybe a quote for your next newsletter for that account. Highlight the people doing the work. So also, we are going to have a new document that's photo guidelines for Shamrocks. That will be coming out to kind of outline what we just talked about. The Dropbox URL will not change. We'll be sending that out to you after this call. Next mode of communication is going to be weekly phone calls. We know in-person is really the way to do it. However, we also know we can't get to every location. So you may have a chain with 20-plus locations. We need to make those phone calls effective. Again, we need to have purpose with the phone calls. Don't just record the numbers. We've all made those phone calls. Hi, how many of you sold? Great, thank you so much. We're going to elaborate on that. Excuse me. We need to make these effective. 20 locations, even for one person to call and be effective, would be difficult. So we need to split them up over teams or, again, employ your ambassadors. They can make these phone calls with you. They just have to be prepared. We need to block time out to call each account and, again, use your volunteer ambassadors for this outreach. We need to call during industry slow times when you're likely to reach a decision maker, a manager, someone in authority who can answer your questions. Common sense dictates don't call a restaurant at noon. You're not going to get them, and also they might think that, you know, these people aren't respectful of our time. So really kind of talk to them, and in your kickoffs and in your planning stages, ask what's a good time for me during the week to contact the store manager so that you know you have the authority to do that. When you're on those calls, the purpose should be to talk to them, and if you have a breakdown by location, talk about their total now versus what they did last year and their goals, whether it's the overall account goal or their individual location goal. It's important that they know their numbers just like we do. And that way, we also know, okay, they're on track or they're not on track, and how can we get them on track? It's a useful tool for us in this communication. Ask for the option of calling into leadership meetings. There are a lot of places that have now decided to do weekly conference calls every Monday morning. See if we can be on the agenda a couple of times during the program. Maybe not every week, maybe every other week. And you can give them updates and take care of it that way. You know, I think the more they can hear our voices, and if they're not seeing our faces, it's important that we have a lot of communication via phone. We need to offer them suggestions on how to drive their outcomes. We need to help them be successful. If we're just asking them how many they've sold, it's not helping them be successful. So we need to get them above and beyond their goals individually as well as an account. And most importantly, thank them for their leadership in the program and ask for great stories to share. Again, we all do the newsletters and it's the same pictures and the same numbers. Let's have something unique in each one based on what the stories they're telling, and we can repeat them. And again, the common theme, focus on our mission. It's why we're here. We need to get them invested in the mission to keep them driven and keep them hitting their goals. Excuse me. We need to collect thank you notes from families. We can, again, do them in person, email. We can text. We can do all sorts of things now. We need to ask our families to call the stores. Again, the theme, ask our ambassadors to go out there and represent us. They're the best people to do so. Ask them to make videos and send them via email. Everyone has access to videos and YouTube. We can do all sorts of things now. Send photos from family visits back to the store. If they take them and they never see them again, what good were they? So send them back from us or from the family with a thank you. We need to tag each company in social media posts so that they can know that we're talking about them in the community, and include families on internal calls or video broadcasts. Say you're doing one of those weekly calls, maybe invite a family one week to say thank you on that call, and you'll see the numbers jump that next week. We're sure of it. Collect your mission moments to share during the program, and make sure to keep one in every newsletter to keep that mission in the forefront. We're also creating a new Marcom Dropbox where you can upload photos, so you don't have to save them in a different file. Everything will be where everybody wants them, and frankly, I think it's a great idea. We can steal things. If someone has a really great letter, take a photo of it, and we can upload it as a photo, and maybe other people can use it. So the whole idea is focusing on the mission and sharing the information that we have. Again, purposeful. Weekly newsletters. The great creation of these last year was fantastic. We have newsletters available on the Resource Center. We don't have to do them, and it's great for our branding. All of our newsletters are going to look across the country and across all accounts exactly the same. You can localize your information, of course, but the header and everything else looks the same. There are 3 templates that you can use and then 1 wrap-up newsletter. So please go to the Resource Center and start setting those up for all of your accounts. The sample content that's in there is the company goal. That's very important to repeatedly have in there. Sales to date, which you'll update every week. Store averages ranked highest to lowest, very important. You want to recognize the ones that are doing well first. And then individual store totals, highlighting the top performing stores, photos, again, with names and locations, and the mission element. Every newsletter should have a mission element, and then have some tips on how they can actually improve their sales even if they're doing well. Have vendors spell their company name letter by letter with platinum shamrocks. Whatever you can think of to empower the accounts, the employees, and everyone participating in this. Again, communication is the key, but it has to be communication with a purpose. And I think I am throwing to the last of the Erins. Erin Randall?
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
So the next part of this is really ensuring that you have a plan for media and human interest opportunities. We need to ensure that we're going every possible way that we can to make sure that we're sending out pre- and post releases to local media if we're not already, recognizing the account and the location wins on local MDA social media, linking to the account social media pages. A big piece of this is planning a tech presentation shortly after the program ends. You can invite local MDA families and the media to attend. You can also save this photo for your post press release and include that in there as well. Look for other opportunities to engage stores with our families. You can host different kinds of parties, your Goodwill Ambassador birthday celebrations, things like that. So today, there's going to be live on the Mobile Resource Center under Communications and Marketing. You will find many new tools and resources to assist you with your PR needs from your pre- and post releases. So make sure that you're utilizing that information. You're also able to utilize the National Media Contact List on Merlin to identify local contacts if you're needing help finding who to send these releases to. Also, encourage your accounts to advertise the program on their own website and their social media. The more information and awareness that they can get out there, on our behalf is great. They can definitely have fun with this. They can post their own pictures during the program. They can really assist with this. Use all social media outlets. Make sure that we're using Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. And all these resources are available on the Resource Center under Communications and Marketing, and everything should be available after today, so ensure to get on there today and check it out. So the importance of incentives and contests. We know that there's a lot of talk around these, and it's really making sure that we're following through on our incentives and our contests. So we need to ensure that we're doing them correct. They're very mutually beneficial. Employees will feel valued, therefore they become more productive in selling Shamrocks and then committed to our cause. We know that incentives and contests increase motivation. We know that employees will become more motivated if they have something to fight for, and they can ultimately let them stand out and succeed amongst their peers. We know that they will drive outcomes. It makes everyone feel like a winner and gets team members excited, and they enjoy making a difference. It certainly helps with company morale. It makes for a happy work environment, which means they are having more fun with selling the Shamrocks. It also creates teamwork. We know that teamwork makes the dream work, but it really encourages everybody to work together, especially if there's an overall incentive for the entire program. And it's just a fun, exciting work atmosphere. So really make sure that we're working with those incentives, and we're going to look next into the incentive program that MDA has rolled out. And just a reminder before we get into these incentives, it was sent out a couple days ago, and Lowe's is only for pizza and cookies. We're not doing anything other than pizza or cookies for Lowe's. But it's kind of self-explanatory, so we won't spend too much time on the incentives. But just know that $400, they get the four MDA branded t-shirts at the $800 level. They get 8 t-shirts and a $50 thank you gift card. $1,600 is 16 t-shirts and one $100 thank you gift card. $3,200 is 16 t-shirts and a choice of 2 gift cards, a Domino's Pizza Party or a Mrs. Fields Sweet Treats Party. And then, of course, the $5,000 is 32 t-shirts, 2 $100 thank you gift cards, and then the choice of the Domino's Pizza, the Sweet Treats, Mrs. Fields cookies, or a Kindle Fire. And again, that does not include Lowe's. But one thing I want to point out about the incentives, if we're not already offering things like this to accounts, we know this is going to come back to our bottom line, our expenses. If it's definitely going to help drive your program and push your program to the next level, certainly talk about it with your ED or even your DD, but we shouldn't be offering this if our programs have run great in the past without having to give them all these things. So just be strategic on how you use those incentives. Talking with decision makers on internal incentives can really make the difference. Allowing your decision makers and store managers the opportunity to create additional excitement within the stores by offering their own incentives. We found, at least I know me personally, I have found with a lot of my accounts, if there's an internal incentive, they're a lot more motivated by the internal incentive than anything that we could offer. So giving them ideas as a free gift card to the top employees, they can have longer breaks, paid days off, they can pick their parking spots, incentives, money incentives for the top manager or employee, free lunch or dinner for top performers, manager for the day, they can make their own schedule. So really talking with your decision makers prior to a kickoff about what they want to do, if they want to have any of these. And then your decision maker can talk about this in your kickoff, and they can really help drive the contest. They can help drive the contest throughout the program as well. So really during those planning meetings, make sure that we're talking about internal incentives on what they're going to do on their end to help ensure that the program is successful. Account management, really building great relationships with your decision makers and your accounts in general. Making sure that you have a plan that when the program's over, what are you going to do to ensure that it's a year-round relationship? We need to be personally connecting with our decision makers, really get to know them and who they are, know them, within the company, what do they do besides, MDA Shamrock, know them on a personal level as well. Be supportive and get involved. Ask them how MDA can help them with their events. If they have any events going on, can you come be a part of those? What more can you do for them? We definitely want to show them, that we value them just as much as they value us. Send personal greeting cards throughout the year, or thank you notes, or holiday cards, Thanksgiving cards, things like that. Invite them to our summer camp. Invite them to your muscle walk if you're not already. Anything you can do to keep that relationship going year-round, making sure that we're connecting with them on LinkedIn. A great thing that you can do is set up Google Alerts for their company and their store. Follow them on Facebook and Twitter. But just make sure that you have a plan on how you're going to continue the relationship with the decision makers once your program is over for the year. We don't want them to think that we're just coming back to them for Shamrocks every year, but we really want to know them beyond Shamrocks. And next I'm going to hand it over to Sabrina.
Thanks, Erin. There's been a couple of questions, so I want to go ahead and clarify some things that have been said. T-shirts will be available within the next week, so look for those on the Staples site. You'll be able to go in and order. Right now, currently, the 2015 T-shirts are there, but soon the 2016, so just keep checking back to the Staples site. Another thing to note is there was a question raised about incentives. Incentives are cumulative, so you want to make sure that when you're offering incentives that sponsors know that those are cumulative based on sales. So wanted to kind of raise that up. And one more quick thing about Lowe's. Lowe's will be getting, as far as the incentives, the T-shirts, of course, just like last year, pizza, which is a new added value because we know that in years past, Lowe's loved the pizza party, so we brought those back specifically for Lowe's, and then you can use them for other sponsors as well. And then the cookie baskets are replacing the party buckets that we had last year. So those were 3 questions that we had. And then I'm going to go ahead and talk to you guys about utilizing the available resources that we have left. There's a lot of resources that are available to you guys to help you kind of drive outcomes with the Shamrock programs, and quite honestly, all of our consumer engagement overall. The next few slides that we're going to talk about, and we know that we're getting close to the hour, but I don't want you guys to hang up. The next few slides are going to be samples of tools and resources that we want to make sure that you see or have them available and how to best utilize them. So using data to help us drive outcomes. In my opinion, nothing beats data. We can have all of the resources that we have, and we can have the best best program ever, but if we're not using data to the best of our ability, we're not driving the outcomes that we could be driving. And in my opinion, it's the most important tool that teams have. Shamrock's data that you personally put together based off of last year's sales, and then data that the sponsors are providing to you weekly can really help you move the needle with the program. You can, set a goal based off of last year's performance with data. It helps you track where you are with sales to date against the goal overall, and maybe you're setting weekly goals, and it helps you kind of track where you are weekly. It helps you know where you are in comparison to last year, the same day, the same week. Where were you? And it kind of helps you, was it the same amount of stores, or were there less stores, or were there more stores? So you have to look at the data in all-encompassing ways. And, quite honestly, this is the key that can help you course correct with a program or a plan. If a company is getting a slow start, or if sales are behind, here's some things to think about. Last year we had 2 instances that just jump off in my head. Casey's, for example, the supplies did not arrive right away. So we had to kind of course correct and pick up our game to determine what needed to happen based off of the numbers. We could tell right away that they were slow. In the Atlanta market, Kroger was down. We were getting daily totals, and the stores didn't start off as fast as possible. So we knew that we had to course correct to kind of to fix that, and we were able to do that, and both of those programs grew. But had we not been on top of the data, we would have not known what that looked like. So if you have not asked your Shamrock sponsor to provide you with weekly sales totals, go ahead and make that ask today of each one of them. If they can provide you with daily totals, that would even be better. So, what you need to kind of think about is creating a Shamrock tracker for all of your accounts is a must when tracking progress. Take the store list that you have and input it into the Shamrock tracker for each account. Add in just a few simple columns and data like what's the store number, what's the phone number, store manager, and email address. You can have it in one easy format instead of having to go to a lot of different places. And add a column in there for week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Put a goal column in there. And also, if you have last year's data, go ahead and put that right beside it, week 1, 2015, week 1, 2016, and so that you can track right away per location how you're doing. And, what this enables you to do is to be able to have discussions with your locations individually, saying, talking about, last year you were here after week 1, and have that comparison talk with them. And you can also have that talk with the leadership too. I mean, of course we want to try to position it in a positive way, but if there's a way that you can do it in a nice way to just kind of let them know, you have to think that stores are very competitive and they want to be reflected positive to their boss. So this is a great way for you to help them be successful as well. If it's a brand new account or an account that you do not have any previous sales totals with, the thing that you would do is you would look for a account that is similar in size to locations, or a similar demographic, or maybe it's the same grocery store. Use a same comparable averages for industry to know where you are. You can also use a percentage of sales to kind of know that, in the first 2 weeks of the program, I would say almost in every case 60 to 70% of sales happen in the first 2 weeks. So if you're noticing by week 3 you're not even to halfway, you need to be adjusting your adjusting your percentages on your enterprise report, or you really need to be having intentional conversations with a sponsor to kind of see if you can bring it back to where it needs to be so that they are successful. Gathering data, is important to help us drive outcomes internally with our staff, us working together to drive the outcomes, and also with a sponsor. You can share how far away they are from their goal. You can do it yourself. How far away are you from your goal internally, and how you're trending in comparison. And, the ultimate goal for every program is to beat what you guys did last year, what the gross total was. You can't compare what the net total is that you put on your business plan. You really need to know dollar for dollar, here's what they did last year gross. I have to ensure that I'm going to meet that gross number so that we can drive outcomes to be positive. So the next thing we're going to kind of talk about is the value of the enterprise report. We know that the enterprise report is available on SharePoint. They've all been transitioned over, and this is one of the most valuable resources that you have in your district that can help you. there are many teams that have, quite honestly, I'm going to be transparent here, that haven't updated this report yet. And our goal is to have 100% compliance in having these updated by this Friday. I know that the CEs and the divisional directors use this, but actually Aaron and I use these and give this to Ann, who gives it to the board. So we want to ensure that everybody's on the same page, that this report is crucial and it is very valuable. The enterprise report should be updated every Friday on a weekly basis, and your sales to date and the goal on your projected net column should be going up every week as we're getting, we're getting our recommits recommitted, or we're landing new accounts, or as the sales are happening. The goal is for that projected net to go up week after week. It's an excellent tool that you can use in the office. Executive directors or the district leads can kind of help manage progress to talk about accounts. Hey, let's talk about this. Where's the sales? Looking at this account by account, line by line, it can truly add value to your bottom line. If you need training on this report, please be sure to check out the Resource Center, because we've already done the training. But if anyone needs individual help for their team or their subdivision, we are more than willing to set up a time to chat with you guys. So we know the Consumer Engagement Resource Center, huge, huge, huge. If you haven't been there, please take time after this call to jump on and do a quick tour. When you hang up the phone, there's no better thing to just go get right on it. You can get through it, go into Merlin, and just click on it right there, the Retail Partnership. And it's broken out into two sections. There's a section for consumer engagement that you can find everything that you need. You can click on the icon for summer camp, Shamrocks, or Be Their Strength, and all of the things under that. And there's also a sponsor section. Make sure to go check out the Lowe's tab, because a lot of things have been updated to Lowe's. There's going to be things that are updated for Kroger, different things like that. So make sure. We will store the Lowe's numbers on there every week too. So if you miss it in an email, you can always go and check that out, because they'll be there, easy for you to have. So, some other things that you'll find on the Resource Center, one-stop shop like I was mentioning earlier. I'm not going to read through these, but all of these are available to you guys on the Resource Center. These are new, innovative things that are going to make it easy for you. And we will be sending this out to you. Everything pinups pretty much is right here, and we'll send you an updated resource list of all the pieces that will be coming soon after this call. But make sure to go in and dig in. There's the thing about the pizza incentive ordering and just things like that. There's a lot of great tools on here that will help you with your program. And another thing that you're going to find helpful on the Resource Center is the PR social media pieces. We've worked really with the marketing team, and the marketing team is really focused on, our new brand and giving us all the tools that we need to be successful, that we're using the correct language, that we're, when we're typing out social media, different things like that, that we're using our language to represent our company, with our new brand and whatnot. There's going to be, a couple of new items that are included on the site. It's hugely important, like Aaron Dresden and Aaron Randall were talking about earlier, to set a goal. Set a goal on how many press releases or how many posts you're going to do for each account, and work towards getting those published. Sponsors see a huge value in the cross-promotion, so be sure to share the partner PR templates, the pre and post ones with them, and also what we're doing in the social media world so that they can see it. Make sure that you're tagging them, like Adrienne mentioned. Because quite honestly, the PR and social that we're able to provide for a company offers them cash value. They see it as some value that they didn't have to spend for us to be advertising on their behalf. And quite honestly, it really shows investment from us to the companies that we do business with, that are sponsors, that we are invested in them and their business, and our families too, that they see our families when they're tagging them in posts like that, all layers of MDA, including the families we serve, are really part of who they are. So, the brand guidelines that we have, we have our launch that's coming up, happening on Friday, January 29th. I'm sure that you guys have seen the awesome information about that. We're really excited about what that looks like for the future of our company. And some of the materials, just to kind of let you know, as you see on the screen, some have our old branding and some have our new branding. We are in transition to get everything updated to new branding as quickly as possible. As a reminder, they're both on the Staples site for order and are available. we're trying to use with our newest national accounts. We want to make sure that we're using the new brand, and in our larger markets that we're focused on driving as many people to see our new brand as possible. But if you have 2015 Shamrocks that are in stock, please make sure that you're using the 2015 branding and only the 2015 branding together. And if you're using the new branding, that you're focusing on the new branding. And that includes the newsletters and everything that we do. If you are using 2015 brand, make sure that you're getting with us and you can use the same newsletters that we've used in the past so that the brand stays consistent throughout the process. There are supplies. If you have not placed your order for Shamrock, please get to the Staples site and get those ordered right away. It's a really easy process. If you have custom Shamrocks that you need to order, it's very easy. You can go in and create them yourselves, or make sure that you go in and order what you need so that you have, you know, you don't want a new account to come up or not have enough supplies on hand when you, you know, when the time comes to be able to get that going. So just to kind of wrap up our day, I want to thank the strategy team for all of your efforts that you've done this year through the beginning of our strategies and rolling out to the servicing of what, you know, we're doing with our sponsors moving forward. I think, you know, we are in a great place to make 2016 the best year ever for Shamrock, but that starts with us. We have all of the tools, we have all of the tips that we need for the Shamrocks program, and it's at your fingertips. Everything that we do now and throughout the program, on top of the relationships that we build with our store associates, our store champions, our store managers, our decision makers, and quite honestly, our volunteer ambassadors are going out and getting boots on the ground in all of the locations. You know, those are the type things that are going to drive outcomes. Take time after this WebEx to sit down with your team to ensure that you have a solid game plan in place. Make sure that you're setting goals for all the things that need to happen. Make sure you have your kits packed and all of that. Believe that you can achieve those goals that you set. Maintain a positive attitude when things get hectic. We know that Shamrocks is the busiest time of year for us and all that we do, that we have so many moving pieces to follow through with Shamrocks. But, you know, take a quick minute and just breathe and understand that it takes a whole team to have a successful Shamrock program. Not one person can make it happen. Plan for the unexpected. We know that things are going to come up, things are going to, you know, possibly fall through the cracks, but plan for those kind of things so that you have a backup ready to go. Next steps, you know, if it's having more Shamrock kits packed than you're going to need so that you can get those out right away, or you can drop them off on your way home from work if somebody doesn't have them. Sacrifice. You know, this is a program that the mentality has to be that we have to do whatever it takes to be successful. You know, compete with yourself and compete with those weekly sales totals so that you can make sure that you're hitting your goals and objectives. Communicate with your consumer engagement team. You know, Erin and I are here to help for any efforts for you guys, but also make sure you're communicating with your DDs and your EDs on where you are with the program. You know, if something's not looking right, make sure that you're having a conversations, or brag on yourself when things are going good. Make sure to send those kudos out to your team to kind of encourage everybody on the team. Make sure to copy the consumer engagement team as well as your DDs and your CEs, because we all love to hear great news. And, you know, quite honestly, the most important thing is that we have to start the program on fire for MDA and for the families, but we also have to finish strong. Because if we don't finish strong, our name, our brand, everything we do is depending on how we finish strong with this program. That means it's delivering the incentives, doing what we promised that we would do. So I would like to challenge each of you to go out today, finish, you know, go to the resource center, set the goal with your team to kind of, you already have a goal on your business plan, but maybe you create a stretch goal of what it could look like, how many volunteers you're going to have, you know, what are you going to do, what percentage of growth are you going to have, and just go make it happen. Thank you guys for your time today. We're excited about what the future looks like, and we thank you so much for all you're doing. Have a great day.